Hello and welcome. We're absolutely swimming in a sea of information these days. It's coming at us from every direction, all day long. But what is it, really? And how do we turn all that noise into something we can actually use? Okay, let's dive in and demystify that journey from raw data to real, useful knowledge.
So, think about the absolute rock bottom basics for human survival. We all know the big four, right? Air, water, food, and shelter. But in our modern world, a lot of people argue there's a fifth essential element. Any ideas what that might be?
Yep, you got it. Information. And this isn't a new idea. Way back in 1978, a researcher named Crawford called information a fundamental human need. And it makes sense, doesn't it? It's the resource that helps us get everything else, from finding food and shelter to building entire societies. Information is how we navigate our world. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to really nail down why information is so crucial. Then we'll clear up the difference between data, information, and knowledge, because they're not the same thing. We'll look at the seriously unique properties of information, unpack the mechanics of communication, and then we'll get practical and talk about where to find the good stuff. All right, first things first. We throw around the words data, information, and knowledge all the time, almost like they're interchangeable, but they're not. They're actually distinct steps on a ladder of understanding. And trust me, getting this difference right is the key to everything else. Let's start at the bottom with data. Think of data as the raw, unprocessed building blocks. It's just a list of temperatures, a jumble of numbers, a bunch of names, a single symbol. By itself, it doesn't really have any meaning. It's just a record of something that happened, waiting for someone to make sense of it. Now, here's where the magic starts. When you take that raw data and you start to process it, organize it, analyze it, put it into some kind of context, that's when it transforms into information. Suddenly, that data has value and meaning. It starts answering questions like who, what, when, and where. It's basically data that's been made useful and ready to share. And the final step on this ladder is knowledge. Knowledge is the information that we've actually absorbed and internalized. It's that body of facts and principles that we hold in our minds. It's what guides our actions, our decisions. See, it's not just about knowing a fact, it's about understanding what it means and how it connects to everything else you know. So it's really all about this transformation flow. You start with these raw, unprocessed facts. That's your data. When that data gets processed and shared, it becomes information. And when you, an individual, truly understand and internalize that information, it becomes your knowledge. Grasping this flow is so important in a world where we're just bombarded with data all the time. Okay, now this is where things get really, really interesting. Information doesn't behave like other resources, like money or oil or gold. It has its own set of rules, and they're kind of strange and incredibly powerful. It almost breaks the laws of physics. Just look at this list. Information is expandable. The more you use it, the more you create. It's compressible. You can summarize a whole library into a single paragraph. It's transportable at basically the speed of light. It's diffusive, which just means it's really hard to keep a secret. And this last one, this is mind-bending. It's shareable. You can give information to someone and you both have it. Go ahead, try doing that with your car. It's these properties that power our entire digital world. So if information is this unique, superpowered resource, how does it get from my brain to your brain? Well, that happens through the process of communication. Let's take a look under the hood of this machine that moves information around. At its very core, communication is just about sharing. I mean, the word itself comes from the Latin communicare, which literally means to share. It's simply the exchange of information, ideas, or knowledge between a sender and a receiver, using some kind of code we both understand, like, language. And you can break down pretty much any act of communication into 5 essential parts. First, you've got the source. That's the person with something to say. They create the message. That's the information itself. They put it into a language or a code. They send it through a channel, like the internet or the air itself. And finally, it reaches the receiver. That's it. Every text, every conversation, every movie follows this pattern. Now, that channel part can take a bunch of different forms. The most ancient and direct one is, of course, oral communication. We're talking face-to-face conversations, big meetings, seminars, anytime people are talking and listening to each other in real time. Then you have recorded communication. This is huge. This is where the message gets stored on some kind of medium, which lets it last across time and space.
Think about books, websites, reports. All these channels give information a life of its own, a sense of permanence.
And third, we've got audiovisual channels. This is all about combining sound and visuals, usually with a little help from technology. Things like video presentations, emails filled with images, or a big teleconference call. I mean, this is a massive part of how we all communicate today.
Okay, so we've covered what information is, why it's so weird and powerful, and how it moves from place to place. The last piece of the puzzle is, where do we actually find it? Let's put together a little toolkit for discovery. So we can pretty much split information sources into two big buckets. On one side, you have your formal sources. These are the published, structured, usually fact-checked things like books and scientific journals. On the other side, you have informal sources. This is the stuff you get from conversations, private emails, meetings, even just bumping into someone in the hallway. And here's the key. You need both. Formal sources give you the solid foundation, but the informal sources, that's often where you find the brand new, cutting-edge ideas. And really, this all brings us to the biggest challenge we all face right now. We have access to more information, both formal and informal, than any other group of people in human history. That path from data to knowledge has never been shorter. But it also means the responsibility is on each of us to be careful, critical thinkers. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. In a world with infinite sources shouting for your attention, how do you decide what to trust? What's your system for building your own knowledge?